Ready to go? You bet. Born ready.
That's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese this morning, who, despite keeping us waiting for an election, is now apparently born ready for one on May 3.
My fellow Australians.
36 days until the nation gets another democracy sausage. Let's hope Bill Shorten has figured out how to eat it. It's shaping up to be an election fought on the cost of living, with Labor and the Coalition offering two very different solutions, or as Albo puts it, Salulus.
And cut taxes again and again for every taxpayer next year and the year after.
A coalition government will halve the fuel excise for 12 months.
The ink hasn't even dried on the writs yet, but we can expect the major parties to trot out some practiced lines.
All too often, the Prime Minister is too weak, too late and too equivocal.
Okay, that's what we can expect, but the great thing about federal elections is all the things we can't. And then there's how the pollies deal with all the gotcha questions that inevitably come up on the campaign trail.
What are the 6 points?
The 6 points are what we will do in terms was outlined by Bill Shorten.
What is it with 6-point plans? You think they would have been banned after this shocker by former Liberal candidate James Diaz back in the 2013 election campaign?
And we have a plan, we have a 6-point plan to make sure that we do stop the boats.
6 points, could you run through them for us?
Well, I can run through all the details of the points, but look, the main thing is...
No, but the 6 points, the 6 points.
Under Kevin Rudd, the boats...
There's 6 points. Turn back the boats?
Sure. Look, here's the thing. The boats started under Kevin Rudd.
This will be the largest election ever held in Australian history. So buckle up, folks, because it could be the wildest too. Anthony Albanese has got the show on the road in Brisbane today, along with dozens of reporters, and Nicholas Smith was one of them. Nikki, why did the PM kick off the election campaign in Brisbane today?
Well, first of all, Queensland is a stronghold for Peter Dutton, so he's taking the fight straight to the coalition. Brisbane is also very important for all major parties. In the last election, three suburban seats were stolen from the two major parties by the Greens, and they both the Labour and the Coalition want to claw those back from the Greens. So Adam Bant is also coming to Brisbane tomorrow, and this is where it's all kicking off.
Yeah, wow, battleground Brisbane. And so on day one, what has been the mood around the PM today?
Well, he was very jovial when he did his press conference at 8 a.m. this morning. He had a spring in his step and he went very early to the Governor-General this morning. It surprised us all that he went at dawn. We knew that the election was going to be called today, but we didn't quite anticipate it was going to be so early. So it was a mad scramble to get to the Parliament, to get to the press conference, to grab our pre-packed cases and get to the office as soon as possible for an early start to the election campaign. And so everyone who was on the Prime Minister's buses had to get to the Royal Australian Air Force base next to Canberra Airport to board a plane. And we didn't know where we were going to be going until we actually got to the airport. I've been told that very often you don't know until you actually land. And so the media corps all ended up chasing the Prime Minister's plane on a Hercules, and we just arrived in Brisbane about an hour ago.
And what happens on the plane with all the journalists? Is everybody just working away on their laptops?
Well, on the Hercules itself, it's very noisy. So you have to put in earbuds, and then there's not much to look at, really. There's no windows. It's actually quite a good opportunity just to read, to rest for a hectic campaign coming up and to do a little bit of work. But it's actually really difficult to even speak to each other because there's so much background noise.
Well, this election is a choice about who can better manage our economy. And of course, the question that Australians need to ask is, are you better off today? Is our country better off today than 3 years ago?
That's opposition leader Peter Dutton kicking off the Liberals' election campaign in his home state of Queensland this morning. Katina Curtis, how would you describe the mood in the Liberal camp today?
Look, I think that they're reasonably happy with, how the budget reply went down. it was interesting. Albanese this morning was extremely bouncy, very peppy, ready to go. At the very start of Dutton's press conference, he almost seemed a little bit hesitant. His kind of pacing in how he said things was a little bit off. But as he got into it, he got more confident. So that was kind of surprising. I would have thought he would, this is it. This is the big game. I would have thought he would have been a bit more, ready. But he's talking it up, talking up his plans. I thought it was striking to me both leaders are framing this debate as cleaning up the other side's messes. And they both are saying almost identical phrasing, actually, saying there's a really clear choice ahead of Australians.